Hi, this is Odeean here. Today I'm having a look at the Transformers Prime Beast Hunters Megatron. And now, clearly this is a Sharkticon motif on the front of his chest here, but nowhere on the box does it actually say Sharkticon Megatron. We know it's Sharkticon Megatron because on the paperwork inside it does say Sharkticon Megatron, but back whenever they were designing these boxes it may not have been finalised yet. Pretty cool that they've gone with actually calling it Sharkticon Megatron because, I mean, it is Beast Hunters after all. Now, why they chose a shark or Sharkticon for Megatron's form is a little bit beyond me. Maybe, let's get out the original. Maybe some inspired talent over at Hasbro saw shark face somewhere in the shape of Megatron's body. I don't know, but when I look at that, it doesn't scream make a shark out of me to me. But either way, it turned out pretty fantastic, and just the quirkiness of it is enough to grab my attention. You may have heard me mention in previous videos that I really don't like the Transformers Prime Voyager Megatron, and not from the design, but just for the gumminess of it. This guy seems to avoid most of that problem, and partly I think it's because this dark grey plastic sounds and feels different to the light grey plastic that was on Megatron, but other areas like the face here where it's got paint all over the face, I think that is paint, it kind of camouflages some of that gumminess and it brings out the important details that were hidden on the regular release. This is a pretty substantial remold, and for comparison's sake, here I've got the original Megatron again. The shoulders are different, the chest piece is different, the head is even different. You can see that pointy crest on the top of his head there. The face sculpt is different. This groin section seems to be the same. The hands, I think the hands are the same as well. Yeah, they're definitely the same. The gun, where have I put the gun? The gun is different, and this gun, I'm going to get to this in a minute, but this is another one of the reasons I actually bought this figure. The legs at the bottom are different. You can see the panel work here compared to the smooth surface here. Moving around to the back, the backs of the legs are different. This upper back of the figure is different. So tons and tons of different sculpting on this figure. So much so that you could almost call it a totally new figure if it wasn't for the fact that it just shared a few pieces and a kind of common transformation. The weapon that we get, this guy, is called the Shark Tooth Spear, and it says that it fires swarms of energon-seeking micro-missiles that explode on impact with a target. Its blade is surrounded by an antimatter warp field that destroys whatever it touches, and it can channel dark energon remnants still inside Megatron for added destructive power. Now, forget all that bullshit. Look at that. That is a wicked looking fish creature. You pull this back, it has a spike, big barb for a tail. That is awesome. Now, unlike other crappy mech tech that we've had in the past, they finally listened and put a holding mechanism so it can permanently stay out. I mean, look at that. It's staying by itself. Now, the one part where this does fall down is that when you tab it on, it has a kind of conflict with the shoulder up here. So it interferes with the this piece. But luckily this piece can just kind of be put up out of the way. Now, it does look a little bit wrong like that, but when you've got it up like that, you can do pretty much anything you want with it. Unfortunately, the options for gun mode are not quite so good. So it's got a very long handle. We could just peg it into the side here, but that looks really, it's way too far out, and it's quite loose. I mean, it's grabbing there, but it's not going to fall out for the video. It's too loose to be secure. It's just tight enough to say that it grabs, but it is relatively loose. In the hand, we can put it in here, but again, it's too loose. So, like, over time, it will work its way down, and it just doesn't feel good with the kind of lack of grip there. And you can see that it sort of has a lot of weight to it. So because the hand is that shape, let's try to get it in. It leans forward and looks wrong. My preferred way of tabbing it in is to use these little pegs at the side like this, but then again the shoulder does interfere with it. You know, I don't really care. That is a small price to pay for such an awesome looking gun. In fact, that's probably one of my all-time favourite weapons for a Transformer. The transformation that I'm going to show is not to the official mode, because who cares about that. I'm going to show how I like it to be in Sharkticon mode. So there are a few interpretations of Sharkticon mode, and it just comes down to personal preference. I'm going to show you how I like it. So first thing is, let's just turn these legs around like this. I'm going to open up the back section like so, and turn the shoulders right around. Now what I want to do is move this to cover the head and close up these panels to also help cover the head. These won't tab in exactly right because it's not meant to go the way I'm doing it, but it's good enough to keep everything covered. Now I like to get these to kind of overlap like this. It's like a solid piece now, and then we can popped off the arm, pushing too hard. I like to get the arm nice and high, bent backwards like that, so the arm doesn't look quite as long. Kind of like that. Now I've seen some people do a different thing where you open up this mouth section. I think I prefer it as is, without opening it up too far. But I do bend the kind of groin backwards like that, and then concertina the legs up and down. Now, it's a pity that you can't rotate the feet around independently of the leg, because it would be good now to be able to get the double toe part here pointed forward, but you can't do that. So it's pretty much it. Now, it all comes down to what angle you're looking at it from. From this 3/4 down view, it looks pretty much the best, and it looks pretty cool. I mean, it almost looks like it's meant to be that way. These big green eyes, and I mean, obviously these are meant to be Sharkticon eyes. When I get the real Sharkticon out later, you'll see it's a very similar green. Looking at it this way, it's fine. If you turn it around too far, then it looks like Megatron taking a dump, which is not too flattering. Big hole at the back, not so great. But it is a fan mode, even though it's kind of a inspired fan mode, given that Hasbro have nodded to it, calling it Sharkticon Megatron. It's good for a fan mode. And for some team-up action, you can put his blaster on top like that. But again, the long handle makes it a bit too long. I wouldn't mind just cutting that handle off, actually, halfway. The handle is that long, I think, because they wanted to give clearance over these forearm thins, but it's just a bit too long. I may end up sawing that off. Here's the comparison between the G1 Sharkticon Nor and Beast Hunters Megatron, Sharkticon Megatron, and they've gone further than what I would have expected in their nod to G1. So, I mean, we've got the eye color, which I had mentioned before, which is actually not as precise as what I thought. I think this guy has suffered from sun damage a bit, because I've had him outside. This is my original figure from when I was a kid. He's played countless hours with me, and maybe the sun has paled him a little bit, because my memory put it at the same color as what Megatron's eyes are here. But apart from that, there are other nods to the coloring of this Sharkticon. We've got the use of the pinkish colors here, which are mirrored by this section, which is also paled now, but it was more like this pink. We've got darker purple in the joints back here, darker purple up here, which matches this section of purple here. Even so far as to get a green rim, like a metallic green rim above the eye ridge here, which is way further than I expected them to go, given that that's a single paint app for no other reason, just to point back to this metallic green sticker here. So they've gone to some lengths to pull this off. And of course the baby blue on these other parts. Now, we've got a lot of Sharkticons coming out lately. iGear Sharkticons, which I've got ordered, and the Unique Toys one, which I may get, but I'm not convinced Unique Toys make quality product yet, so I'm just waiting and seeing somebody else's review before I buy them. But at the end of the day, I'm going to have an absolute load of Sharkticons. And you can see, I really do like Sharkticons. These are my custom Sharkticons, which I've made. They don't transform, they're just little figurines. But I quite enjoy having Sharkticons, and they go really well with Grimlock. So by the time I've got this guy and Nor, my custom ones, plus 2 sets of third-party Sharkticons, I'm going to have a whole massive army of Sharkticons, which is going to be really fun. My final thoughts? Yeah, I'm glad I got this. So, I wasn't going to get it, but I kept seeing the cool fan mode, and I thought, oh, I'll just go and have a look. Locally, it's been between 45 and 50, and I can't pay that much. On eBay, it was about 45, sold out at BBTS and stuff. I actually went to Kmart, and I thought I'll rummage through all the mountains of Voyager class Predaking and see if I can find one of these guys, because it looked like they'd all been bought up. I think they were 1 to a case, and at the very bottom shelf, stashed away at the back of the shelf, behind a whole row of Predakings, I found this guy, and when I scanned him, he was $40. I thought, this is meant to be, so I bought it on the spot, and I'm glad I did. So anyway, I can recommend the figure. I think it's worth the $40 for the novelty, and it's actually made pretty well. This has been my video review for Sharkticon Megatron from Transformers Prime Beast Hunters. I'm odeean. Thank you for watching. Fishy, fishy, fishy. Fishy, 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 fishy.